Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Batman Be Vlogged, the vlog series where I review an episode of Batman Beyond for the very first time. Today, for our penultimate episode, we are not looking at an episode of Batman Beyond, per se. We are looking at its tie-in movie, Return of the Joker, released direct-to-video in 2000. Return of the Joker was developed with from a story by Paul Dini, Glenn Murakami, and Bruce Timm, with the screenplay written by Paul Dini and the movie directed by Kurt Jetta. As always, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place because I do these unscripted. So if you have not seen the topic of today's video, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, this is your one chance to pause, go and watch it, and then come back and resume the video. And I mean, what can I say? It's Return of the Joker. This is widely considered one of the best Batman movies ever made, and it's really not hard to see why. For those of you who have seen Return of the Joker, I'm gonna try and challenge myself. Let's see what happens. I want to hold off for as long as possible talking about the flashback sequence. Don't get me wrong, that is not a dig at the flashback sequence. The flashback sequence is great. It is iconic for a reason. But it's the thing everybody talks about. It's like the first, 5-10 minutes of Up. Everyone always focuses on that one sequence that they tend to not talk about the rest of the movie. It's kind of the same thing with Batman Beyond. And I really do want to give, or try to give, the rest of the movie the praise it rightly deserves. So, what's the plot? Well, the plot is given away in the title, Return of the Joker. It's time for Terry, the new current incarnation of Batman, to face Batman's greatest foe. Except Bruce and Barbara are convinced that this can't be the real Joker because the Joker is dead. They are so convinced about this that, for once, because throughout the series, Bruce and Barbara have had kind of a contentious relationship, presumably around how Barbara's career as Batgirl ended, possibly. It, again, not brought up in the show itself. But I'll give you a hint, because again, Batman Beyond had tie-in comics. It has to do with, and the tie-in comics kind of elaborated on it a little better, it has to do with Bruce Timm's tendency to ship Bruce Wayne and Barbara Gordon. Anyway, despite their contentious relationship, the Return of the Joker is so, what's the word? It terrorizes Bruce and Barbara so much, essentially, for lack of a better term, that for once they are in agreement. They do not want Terry facing the Joker. In fact, at one point, Bruce even says, "I think it's time you were done being Batman." And we'll learn why later. Again, it ties into the flashback sequence. Because of what happened to someone under Bruce's care, during a confrontation with the Joker, he does not want that to happen again. The animation for this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, it's working on a film budget, even a direct-to-video film budget, which presumably is a little better than a TV show budget, and also does not have to be divided among several episodes. Also, in that regard, I'm sure the production schedule was a little better because, again, working on one movie versus working on several episodes. The thing that stuck out to me, other than just how dynamic and theatrical the animation felt, was that this movie actually uses shading. That's not something you got in Batman Beyond, or if so, you didn't get a lot of it. But here, the film pays attention to, light sources and where they're being cast and what would cast a shadow from that particular light source. It really makes the animation pop even more so than it already does. The fight scenes are also spectacular, aside from the climactic one between Terry and the Joker, which is also kind of interesting because you don't really see the Joker fighting Batman much. He's more into playing mind games with Batman, and the point where Batman catches him, there's not a fight, it's over. But here the Joker actually fights, and it's a really good fight scene. But my other favorite fight scene in this movie is the nightclub fight, where this new version of the Joker gang, or this branch of the Joker gang, ambushes Terry in his civilian identity. Just the lighting of the nightclub and Christopher Carter's score, it's all just gorgeous to watch. All of this movie is gorgeous to watch. Performances as well across the board are absolutely stellar. Will Friedle, I think, really gets to play up his own issues throughout the course of this story. You know, where he started when he first became Batman, where he is at this point in time, and also how much of a different Batman he is from Bruce. Because I think one of the themes of this movie is legacy and inheriting a legacy and what that means and what happens when you have to confront the past. Similarly, Kevin Conroy is great. There is a large portion of the movie where he is written out after being attacked by the Joker, but Conroy is wonderfully melancholic because, again, Bruce thinks the Joker is dead. He saw him die. And, you know, realizing what the Joker's return means, not just for Gotham, but for him personally, and just potentially how much more danger Terry is in compared to the threats he has faced in the past. Because, let's be honest, the Joker is on a whole other level. Similarly, once again, Barbara Gordon is voiced by Angie Harmon, you know, replacing Stockard Channing from Season 2 to Season 3. But despite that happening, Angie Harmon never really got anything of substance to do as Barbara in Season 3. I think the episode she was in, she only had maybe 2 or 3 lines at most in those episodes, and I think she was only in 2 or 3 episodes at most in Season 3. But here, she finally gets some real substance as Barbara, you know, just something she never got, which is why I think I kind of prefer Stockard Channing, because even though Barbara similarly had a reduced role in Seasons 1 and 2, Stockard Channing just got to do more with Barbara. And I think now that we have something adequate to compare her to, I do still think I prefer Stockard Channing over Angie Harmon. Angie Harmon is good, and I think the chance to have proper material to show her off is to her benefit, but just overall, I just prefer Stockard Channing. Just in terms of personal preference, I am familiar with and like Stockard Channing as an actress, but also just Angie Harmon's voice is too young. Like, shoot, I forgot to do this before I started filming. I was going to look up Angie Harmon's age just because I don't think she's that old. I think she's probably only in her 40s or 50s at this point in time. So, like, she's just too young. She lacks sort of the age that a Barbara at that point in time in the Batman Beyond universe would have. We also have Dean Stockwell as an older Tim Drake, who is also really good, just showing how the events of what the Joker has done to him have weighed on him and how much he tries to move on, but he very clearly has not moved on. But of course, the standout, the MVP of this movie, is Mark Hamill as the Joker. It's never really come up in any video because I don't do comic book content often, but of all the Jokers in media, animation, live action, video game, of all the Jokers in adapted media, Mark Hamill is my favorite, and with good reason. He is the most iconic version of the Joker, and similarly too, for as long as he's played the role, he's just gotten to do the most with it. I also like this design of the Joker because, you know, if just kind of flashback for a moment, if you remember in Batman the Animated Series, the Joker had a very distinct design. And then when the show was kind of retooled and revamped into the new Batman Adventures, the Joker had a completely new, somewhat colorless design that people criticized. But this design for the Joker in this movie, more specifically in the flashback, but you do see the elements of it in the present day storyline as well. Present day for Batman Beyond, I mean. It's weirdly kind of a combination between the Batman the Animated Series Joker and the new Batman Adventures Joker. And I believe this particular version of that design would also be the design they use in Justice League. But beyond that, just this is one of the Joker's most insane and outright diabolical plots. For one thing, too, one of the things I really praise Mark Hamill's Joker for above other Jokers is that it never loses sight of what the Joker is. I feel like a lot of modern interpretations of the Joker really lose sight of the fact that he is a clown. Like, the clown thing is not just an aesthetic. Like, they really play up the Joker's psychotic aspects or his more anarchy type aspects, but he is a clown. Like, to make this comparison, this is, in my head, a perfect portrayal of the Joker. He can kidnap you, beat you within an inch of your life, tie you to a chair, strap a bomb to your chest, and have a gun pointed to your head. And despite all that, he can still say something funny. He will still say something that will make you laugh. Again, just, that is my perfect portrayal of the Joker. And Mark Hamill really sells that, while also getting into some of the more darker aspects of the character. Like, I think for the Bruce Timm-verse, the DCAU it's also called, this is the darkest Joker plot the series has ever seen. And it's really twisted, too, because, spoilers, there is a point where the Joker finds out Bruce Wayne is Batman. And let's be honest, if you're familiar with Batman in any iteration, of all the villains in Batman's Rogues Gallery, the best case scenario is the Joker finding out Bruce Wayne is Batman. Because, to be blunt, the Joker doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about Bruce Wayne being Batman. He wouldn't set about trying to expose him or ruin Bruce Wayne's life with this information, because to the Joker, it's about the game. If he went after Bruce Wayne, if he tried to expose Bruce Wayne as Batman, the game would be over. You know, even in the movie, even in the scene where the Joker reveals he knows the truth, he still calls Bruce Wayne Batman. That's the entire point. And that's also kind of the point of his entire scheme here. His entire really demented scheme. Again, it's the darkest thing the Joker has probably ever done in the Bruce Timm-verse. And also props to Andrea Romano, because for the flashback sequence, after the introduction of Tim Drake as Robin, Bruce Timm and Kurt Jetta felt that the actor playing him, I forget their name, I'm sorry, couldn't quite nail what they wanted for Tim as JJ, Joker Jr. So Andrea Romano took over for that sequence. Andrea Romano, of course, is the casting director for the Bruce Timm-verse, and it is really unsettling. But yeah, no, the Joker's entire scheme is just to get a rise out of Batman, you know? He took someone Batman was responsible for, someone Batman cared for, and then twisted it into his own image. Yeah, I am talking about the flashback now. The flashback, simply put, is iconic. It is the highlight of the movie, but I don't want to diminish the movie like I feel some people do when they hold the flashback on a pedestal, or it's all they talk about. Also, I should say this too, because there are two different versions of the movie, specifically edited around the flashback. The Blu-ray included... Shoot, I did not position myself well for this. The Blu-ray included in the complete series set is the unrated version. Again, just if you're unfamiliar, there are two cuts of this movie. Very little has changed. You know, there's an unrated version and a theatrical cut. The only difference is, in the flashback sequence, the method of the Joker's death. I don't think I have much to say, because I just have nothing for praise for this movie. If I had to criticize anything, like, towards the end of the movie, when we get the exposition to how the Joker exactly came back, it's not something that entirely works for me, but that is very, very small things. You know, don't sweat the small stuff, because it feels like that's not something the Joker would have ever been interested in. But yeah, like I said, Return of the Joker is just iconic. It is widely considered one of the best Batman movies. Stellar animation, it's absolutely gorgeous to look at, and phenomenal performances. Like Will Friedle, Kevin Conroy, Angie Harmon, Dean Stockwell, especially Mark Hamill. Like, I would say, for all the times Mark Hamill has played the Joker, this is one of his top two performances with Arkham City. But those are just my thoughts. Have you seen Return of the Joker? What are yours? Start a conversation in the comments below. And remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And in the description box below, you'll find the link to my socials where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time for the final episode of Batman Be Vlogged, when we will look at an episode of Justice League Unlimited.